Hello everybody, my name is Eric D. Johnson, also known BrightShine. I live right here in the city of Memphis, in the county sheriff, it's in the state of Tennessee. Today's date is early Monday morning, April the 2nd, 2018, time 4:56 a.m. First, I thank all my family, my support for your continued encouragement, support of continue to keep myself employed right here in this Memphis tri-state area. I'm continuing to further my education at Monroe College online, pursuing my social degree. I'm studying business administration, concentration mark. At this present time, I took a break from going to school, but in the very near future, I will go back to Monroe College to continue to further my education. Now, what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to do my Instagram. Hello everybody, my name is Eric D. Johnson, also known as BrightShine. I live right here in the city of Memphis, in the county sheriff, in the state of Tennessee. Today's date is early Monday morning, April the 2nd, 2018, time 4:57 a.m. First, say thank you to all my family, my support for your continued encouragement, support. First, want to always give thanks to God for all the blessing and guidance that He provides us all with. And for all those who are listening and watching my Instagram video, I also make my YouTube video and my Periscope video and my Facebook Live video. So watch those videos also. also, I know that yesterday was Easter Sunday, so hope that everyone had a happy Easter. What I'm doing right now, I'm doing my Facebook Live video. Hello everybody, my name is Eric D. Johnson, also known as BrightShine. I live right here in the city of Memphis, in the county ship, in the state of Tennessee. Today and date is early Monday morning, April the 2nd, 2018 time, 5:03 a.m. First, say thanks to all my fans, my support, for your continued encouragement and support. I know that yesterday was Easter Sunday, so hope everybody had a happy Easter. And anti-gang. Now, what I have here is these are just a few other websites you can go to. These are free logo design websites. These are just a few. There are many other free logo design websites you can go to. These are just a few. And you can go to these websites to make anti-gang logos. Excuse me. And like I say, make anti-gang logo because this gang point of view, and people had this perception that this gang point of view is acceptable, and it's not acceptable. It's a lie. that the people be telling us a bunch of lies, and continue to speak out, complain, and it's going to lead to anti-gang demonstration, anti-gang protest. Now what I'm going to do right now is what we're going to do right now, we're going to taking just a few moments just to talk about continue to expose Saul from Tarsus, the self-proclaimed Apostle Paul. Excuse me. As you know, the man-made religious organizations such as the Catholic Church, the Church of England, the Eastern Orthodox, the Church of Christ, all this, what they call it, denominationalism, non-denominationalism, and then you had the Protestants who broke away from the Catholic Church, the Calvinists, Lutherans, the Episcopalians, the Presbyterians, the Methodists, the Baptists, and then you had your Baptist breakaway church, the Church of God in Christ, and the Jehovah's Witness, the Seventh-day Adventists, the Mormons, the Amish, Mennonites, Scientology, all man-made religious organizations. Excuse me. Now, all these man-made religious organizations one of the scriptures that the man-made religious organizations try to use, Romans chapter 16, verse 16. Salute one another with the holy kiss, the church with the suffix es, churches of Christ salute you. Another scripture they use, 2 Thessalonians chapter 1 verse 4, so that we ourselves glory in you in the church with the suffix es, churches of God, for your patience and faith in all your persecution and tribulation that ye endure. And we know that when we had this talk about the Catholic Church, it always starts with this unanimous agreement like we've been going over. When did the Catholic Church start? The start date, it always come up with the same answer. The Catholic Church started on this date. Now, we've been hearing some things like the first century church. It wasn't me who said it. Something I heard, some people at supposedly that what they call them, scholars. That's what they said. The first century church. Now, excuse me. There's no such thing as no first century church. No such thing. There's no such thing. There's only one church. It was the church that Jesus Christ initiated. Matthew chapter 16. Matthew chapter 16, verses 13 through 19. Jesus Christ established the church. Now, like I said, scholars, what they call it, the first century church. There's no such thing as no first century church. No such thing. Now, we want to go to a scripture, since put everybody in a state of mind. Okay, we know the start date of the Catholic Church. So when you ask a question, an honest question, you say the Catholic Church started on this date, and we know that Jesus Christ established the church in Matthew chapter 16, verses 13, 19. So what was that church? Because the church didn't end because Jesus Christ was crucified and resurrected. He was crucified and resurrected. And so that church that he established, it didn't end. The people who were walking around, all his apostles and disciples. And the scholars said something with the first century church. That's not what the Bible teaches. So let's go to the book of Acts in the New Testament, chapter 1. Now let's go to what's it? Okay, let's make this clear. We know it in the book of Acts in chapter 1. Jesus Christ was resurrected, and he was seen by his apostles. Now, after he was taken up into a cloud, okay, I'm going to start reading in verse number 12. Excuse me. Then returned they unto Jerusalem from the mount called Olivet, which is from Jerusalem, a Sabbath day's journey. And when they were come in, they went up into an upper room, whereby both Peter and James and John and Andrew, Philip and Thomas, Bartholomew and Matthew, James the son of Alphaeus, and Simon Zelotes, and Judas the brother of James. These all continued with one accord in prayer and supplication with the women, and Mary the mother of Jesus, and with his brethren. And in those days Peter stood up in the midst of the disciples, and said, the number of names together were about 120. That's not no first century church. That's not the first century church. So it's already been established that it's not the Catholic Church. It's not the Church of England. It's not the Eastern Orthodox, the Church of Christ. It's not the Church of Christ. So when you say the first century church, there's no such thing as no first century church. The Bible said in the book of Acts, it said the disciples. That's what it said. Excuse me. So that's what it said. It says the disciples. That's what it said. Now, let's go over here to the book of Acts, chapter 9. Now, this is where it says Saul was supposedly converted. Saul was converted, supposedly. Now, let's go to the scripture that we need. That were very important. Acts chapter 9, verse number 7. And the men which journeyed with him stood speechless, hearing a voice, but seeing no man. Because we know, okay. All right. Now, we're going to go over here to Acts chapter 11, and we're going to go straight to the scripture talking about being a Christian. And when he had found him, he brought him unto Antioch, and it came to pass that the whole year they assembled themselves with the church and taught much people. And the disciples were called Christians first in Antioch. Now, who said called the disciples Christians in Antioch? Why? Now let's turn over to Acts chapter 13, verse number 13. Now when Paul and his company loosed from Paphos, they came to Perga and Pamphylia, and John, departing from them, returned to Jerusalem. Now let's turn over here to Acts chapter 15, verse number 1. And certain men which came down from Judea taught the brethren and said, except ye be circumcised after the manner of Moses, ye cannot be saved. Verse number 2. When therefore Paul and Barnabas had no small dissension and disputation with them, they determined that Paul and Barnabas and certain other of them should go up to Jerusalem unto the apostles and elders about this question. Now, this is a very important point that we want to make. When we read that they want to return from Antioch, they want to leave Antioch, and they got to go to Jerusalem about this question. Now, put this in your mind: the distance. How far? How far is the distance from Antioch to Jerusalem, from Jerusalem to Antioch? Because we see that Paul and Barnabas, they making this trip. They making a trip they leaving Antioch, going to Jerusalem, and then they're gonna go from Jerusalem back to Antioch. Now we made this point that Saul in Acts chapters 27 and 28 be in Rome. It's too far away to be in accord with the apostles and the elders of the church in Jerusalem. So no one can say. And also, Paul is the same one who made this trip from Antioch to Jerusalem and from Jerusalem to Antioch, and then he was also making other trips. He's too far away in Rome, Italy, away from the apostles and the elders. So, okay. Hold on. Now, chapter 15, verse number 2. chapter 15, Acts chapter 15, verse 22. Then pleased did the apostles and elders with the whole church to send chosen men of their own company to Antioch with Paul and Barnabas, namely Judas, surnamed Barsabbas, and Silas, chief men among the brethren. That was the end of all that Christian stuff. That was the end of it. That was the end of it. Now we're going to turn to Acts, the book of Acts, chapter 22. Paul tells of his conversion. He lied. Paul tells lies about his conversion. We're going to go straight to it. Acts chapter 22, verse number 9. And they that were with me saw indeed the light and were afraid, but they heard not the voice of him that spake to me. He lied. He lied. Now over in Acts chapter 26. Excuse me. Acts chapter 26, verses 13 and 14. At midday, O King, I saw in the way a light from heaven, above the brightness of the sun, shine around about me, and then was journeyed with me. And when we were all fallen to the earth, I heard a voice speaking unto me, and saying in the Hebrew tongue, Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me? It is hard for thee to kick against the pricks. And I said, Who art thou, Lord? And he said, I am Jesus, whom thou persecutest. He lied. Now, he did say that I heard a voice. However, he was not the only person who heard the voice of Jesus Christ. He lied. Now, over in Acts chapter 26, verse 28. Then Agrippa said unto Paul, Almost thou persuadest me to be a Christian. You weren't supposed to hear nothing like that. After Acts chapter 15, verse 22, there's nothing for nobody to say about being a Christian. It's a lie. Now, we're going to turn over here to 1 Peter. First Peter chapter 4, verse 16. Yet if any man suffer as a Christian, let him not be ashamed, but let him glorify God on this behalf. See, this is where the Apostle Peter is making it clear that there are people going around lying. After Acts chapter 15, verse 22, there was no such thing as being a Christian. This is the same Peter who was the apostle in Jerusalem who told everybody in Acts chapter 15 verse 22, the apostles and the elders and the whole church, they sent chosen men back to Antioch with Saul and Barnabas about all these questions that they had. So, the Apostle Peter is making it perfectly clear. And then we also We know that Saul from Tarsus, the self-proclaimed Apostle Paul, in Acts chapter 27 and 28, in Rome, Italy. You're too far away from Jerusalem. The apostles and the elders in the church in Jerusalem. Saul in Rome, Italy. You're too far away. You're not abiding by the doctrine of the apostles and the elders. You've been lying. And you're still lying. And that's the reason why the Apostle Peter in 1 Peter chapter 4 verse 16, he makes it perfectly clear. Yet if any man suffer as a Christian, let him not be ashamed, but let him glorify God on this behalf. People going around lying. So the Apostle Peter put the instructions for everybody to see how to deal with people going around lying. Now let's go to 2 Peter. Second Peter chapter 3. And we're going to go to verses 15, 16, 17, and 18. The Apostle Peter exposes Saul from Tarsus for being a liar. He lied in all them epistles that he wrote. The Apostle Peter exposes Saul for being a liar. And so we know that the Apostle Peter was in Jerusalem with the elders. All the apostles was in Jerusalem, and the elders with the church in Jerusalem. In Jerusalem. Saul from Tarsus was in Rome, Italy. During that period of time, when you see the distance from Jerusalem, which is in Israel, and you see Rome, Italy, there's no way you can ever be in accord with the apostles and elders in the church in Jerusalem. There's no way. You're too far away. Too far away. Now, we continue to talk about African traditional religion. It's being taught at institutions of higher learning, colleges, and universities in sub-Saharan Africa. You can earn a bachelor's degree, PhD, studying African traditional religion. Now, one of the books we're going to continue to read and we're going to refer to as titled West African Traditional Religion. It's written by Dr. Joseph Obasena Valelu and Dr. P. Adenumo Depemu. Another book we're going to continue to read and refer to is titled African Traditional Religion, a definition written by Dr. E. Baloja Adowu. Another book we're going to continue to read and refer to is titled African Religions and Philosophy, written by Dr. John S. M. Beatty. Another book we're going to continue to read and refer to is titled Concepts of God in Africa, written by Dr. John S. M. Beatty. Now, example of institutional higher learning in Sub-Saharan Africa. Now, the University of Ibadan, that's in Nigeria. Okay, now like I said, the University of Ibadan. Now, Dr. Awolelu, he was the head of he was senior lecturer, African Traditional Religion, Department of Religious Studies, University of Ibadan in Nigeria. Dr. Dupemu, Ibadan University, Department of Religious Studies, University of Ilorin in Nigeria. Now, Dr. Adowu, Professor of Religious Studies, was at the University of Ibadan in Nigeria. Now, Dr. Mbina, he studied at Makerere University in Uganda. Makerere University in Uganda. Now, we continue to talk about this gang point of view. It's a bunch of lies. It's a lie. It's a bunch of lies. It's a lot of liars. People lying. And the word gang, that's German. The word goon, that's English. That's an English, German dialect. English is a German dialect. Excuse me. Boss. That's Dutch. That's a German dialect. Thug. That's Indian. Hoodlum, man, and, pimp. Mac, player, pimp, whore. All street slang. It's all street slang. We'll be sitting here all day. It's all street slang. And see, it's all lies. You're taking words, lying. What's that? Mob. That's Latin. It's an abbreviation for mobile. It's not even a word. It's an abbreviation. And so this so-called gang point of view that people have, it's a lie. It's a lie. There's a lot of criminals. There's a lot of criminals. That's what it is. It's a lot of criminals just lying. And it's gonna be protests, demonstration, anti-gang demonstration, protest. And this whole thing about this so-called gang point of view, we continue to talk about how the East Coast here in the United States of America is being used as a gang base. And you have people, African Americans, Latino, Hispanic Latino, living on the East Coast, then trying to leave the East Coast, trying to go to cities like Chicago, Illinois, Los Angeles, California, making gang videos. It's barely speak English, don't even know how to speak English. And a lot of people are illiterate. A lot of people illiterate, ignorant, education, ignorant. And so they lie. And things like that it's not right. And it's going to be anti-gang demonstration, anti-gang protest. And we excuse me. And the people should not be thinking that that's acceptable, because it's not. It's not. And a lot of celebrity athletes and entertainers leave the country and go outside this country, lying. Go outside this country lying. We've been talking about the Hell's Angels motorcycle gang. What they call them? Then their rivals, the mongrel motorcycle gang. There's no such thing. There's no such thing. Jesse James and Frank James, they call it a gang. The Jesse James, Frank James gang. There's no such thing. What they call the Dalton gang. No such thing. The Apple Dumpling gang, Fat Albert and the gang. The people in Germany, they speak German 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days out of the year. No such thing. They speak German. No such thing. People in Germany speak German. That's the reason why the United States government got in contact with the German government. The German government said anti-gang. That's where it came, anti-gang, to deal with these criminals. They came from over there, European criminals. People came from Asia, came from Africa. A lot of criminals. There's a lot of criminals. That's what it is. It's a lot of criminals. We've been talking about how the East African, West African slave trade. People trying to tell me, as well as others, that our foreparents was sent away from the continent of Africa and to come to this, what they call the New World, to be a slave. Now, me personally, I know not to listen to anything like that. There were a lot of criminals that were going around committing crimes. You know, there's a lot of pirates. There was a lot of ships sailing on the oceans and on the seas. Then you had pirates that would attack these ships and steal the cargo, gold, silver, you know, any type of food products that was on there, spices, seasonings, alcohol, whatever, you know, whatever they can be put on a ship. The pirates would build them some ships, and they would attack the ships and steal the cargo, including human cargo. That was the pirates do. So these were criminals. Guns, cannons, you know what I mean, you know, weapons that were on the ships. The pirates would steal those weapons, then they'd take those weapons and sell or trade those weapons for whatever they wanted. So you can't just say that somebody sent somebody away from the continent of Africa, and then when they sent you away, they intended for you to be a slave. You can't say that. A lot of people were forcibly took away from the continent of Africa. There was no negotiating, there was no sitting down talking, and then a decision was made about your foreparents to be sent away from their families to be a slave in a land that they don't know anything about. How you gonna tell somebody they're gonna be slave? You don't even know nothing about the land. You don't even know what kind of work you gonna be doing. You don't even know who you working for. You being a slave for nothing. You don't have you ain't guaranteed to make it. Talking about you gonna be on a slave, you on a slave ship shackled, can't move, use the bathroom on yourself and everybody else. It's diseases and germs on the ship. You ain't guaranteed to make it. So that's a lie. People going around saying that your foreparents were sent away from the continent of Africa, and they were sent away with the intent for the reason to be a slave. And when you say that, that's another problem. When you say that, slave, you know, there's one language, but in another language, you got to explain what it is you're trying to say. And a lot of criminals, they just like a lot of criminals today, ignorant and illiterate. They didn't know what they were talking about either. The only thing they cared about was just committing a crime and trying to support themselves through criminal means. So that whole point of view is not something that you can rely on. It's just something that you just can't say. It was too many people in too many places. You ain't gonna tell it. You just can't say that. Say that each and every person that is referred to as being a slave from the continent of Africa, the East African, West African slave trade, that they were sent away. First of all, they were sent away from the country of Africa and for the reason to be a slave. You can't say that. Can't nobody say that. Can't nobody say that. There was a lot of people that were forcibly took. A lot of people didn't make it. Some people died on the ship and were thrown overboard. So whoever their family was, if they made a deal, well, a lot of people didn't make it. They died on the ship and were thrown overboard. That's another reason why you can't say that. You can't say that. Now, one of the things we talked about, and we're going to continue to talk about, is that there's going to be anti-gang demonstration, anti-gang protests. See, there's a lot of people who continue to try to go around with this gang point of view, like we were talking about yesterday, for example. When I be on my job, when I be at work, see, there's a lot of criminals in management as well as non-management. The sorority and the fraternity. Management, non-management. A lot of criminals. A lot of criminals. People try to get away with committing crime, men and women, male and female. Try to get away with committing crimes on the job as well as off the job. They try to commit crimes on the job as well as off the job. And the reason why they commit crime, because they're gangs. They claim to be in a gang. When I be when I be at work, on my job, there are people walking around with tattoos on their body. The girls walking, the women, the females walking around with red color dye in their hair, blue color dye in their hair, green color dye in their hair. A lot of them illiterate. I'm serious. A lot of people are illiterate. They ignorant. Like I've been saying, people be walking around saying things out their mouth and they don't have a lick of education. They have no education at all. But see, it's a lot of people in the older age group. They still work. They not retired. They still work. But they don't have no education. And then when you be on your job, you hear all this stuff come out of their mouth. But they don't have no education. The people that's in an older age group than me, they older than me. They not retired. Some of them at the age where they could retire. But they can't. They don't have no education, they illiterate. But they go around talking about saying words out their mouth. They don't know what they're saying. So like we were talking about, people commit crimes. And people in management, male and female, commit crimes on the job, at work. People who are in non-management, they commit they commit crimes at work, on the job. They commit crimes. And like one of the things we were talking about, the drugs, and people who manufacture drugs, they distribute drugs, they use drugs, the drugs. Some people, like when you apply for a job, you gotta take a drug test. There's some people, they have a system that they try to use to pass a drug test. When they still be using drugs, they try to pass the drug test. They try to lie. They committing a crime Because see, it's against the law to manufacture, distribute, to be in possession of of what we call what's called a drug, illegal drugs. And when you apply for a job, that's one of the things that they won't hire you for, is being a drug user. But people they have a system that they try to use drugs and then pass the drug test in management as well as non-management, male and female. And one of the things that we want to make sure we don't leave is how the criminals, when the police is trying to catch them committing a crime like selling drugs, and when the government is trying to arrest you, trying to bring charges against, trying to prosecute you, you call yourself trying to take the money that you earned from the illegal drug trade, and then you try to make the money like it was legitimate, like you made it legitimately, what they call money laundering. They'll try to start a nightclub somewhere. They'll try to start a convenience store. They'll try to they might try to start a church. If it's some kind of way they can hide the money and make it legitimate, it don't matter. They'll start a church, a synagogue, a mosque. They'll donate money to the children's hospital. As long as it's made to look like it's legitimate, it don't matter. They'll start a construction company. They'll start a pizza parlor. They'll start a hamburger stand. They'll start what they call it, a lemonade stand. It don't matter. They'll sell Girl Scout cookies. As long as they can make the drug money look legitimate, that's the point. It don't matter how we make it look legitimate. We'll sell Girl Scout cookies. You understand? We'll sell lollipops. We'll sell freeze pops. It don't matter. All we want to do is make our drug money look legitimate for the government. It don't matter how we make it look legitimate. As long as we make it look legitimate, it's all that matters. And it's a crime. It's a crime. And male and female, they commit these crimes. They commit these crimes. Men and women, they commit these crimes. And then this is another problem. When you have these criminals start these businesses, see a lot of women, they'll be working for these criminals. And then when you have people trying to apply for a job, see, this is another problem about the drugs and the drug test, the background check. See, the criminals, they put people in a job that's working for them. This is just like guns, illegal guns. The criminals put people in a job that they want to be in, that's working for them. So when it comes to a background check, see, you might have a criminal background, but when you're working for the criminals, see, the criminals will try to cover up your background. They have some female in there at the temp service that's working for them. Then they'll send you over there they'll tell you, go over to this temp service. And then when you go to the temp service, if you was out there using drugs or selling drugs for them, don't worry about the drug test. This is what you do about the drug test. And then you pass the drug test, your background come up. You got about 10 felonies. They've been to prison 15 times. They came across state lines. You know, you got various aliases. We don't even know who you are really, because you got all these different names. But you working for these criminals. So when they tell you go over to this place and to work, you go over there, your background come up, and you still end up getting a job. And then you around, since you work for the criminals, you got a gun, a firearm, because you're a convicted felon. You're not supposed to have no firearm. But however, since you're working for the criminals, they'll cover it all up. They'll pay some lawyer. You know, they'll find some kind of way to cover it all up because you work for them. See, this is the problem with the gang when people be on their job. See, you try to force people to support the so-called gang. It's going to be anti-gang demonstrations. It's going to be anti-gang protests. Because people, it's a lot of people they'll possibly not want to support the nonsense, the gang. But when you keep trying to lead a sorority and a fraternity walking around in management as well as non-management, then you have all these criminals in business who own businesses. See, this is what causes a lot of problems. This is what causes a problem. Is that the criminals, they start businesses, and then these businesses, the businesses that they start, the only thing they doing is just continue to support the crime in the community, the gang. Just like we've been talking about polluting the air, polluting the water, polluting the ground. It's the criminals. It's the criminals. The mistreatment of the animals, the little kittens and the little puppies. It's the criminals. Like we were talking about yesterday, the elephants, they tusk, the poachers, the elephants. They go after the elephants because they want to take the elephant tusk for ivory. The rhinoceros, same thing. They want to take the ivory, the rhinoceros horn, and use for ivory. And then you see all these businesses in the community that sell ivory. And then yesterday we forgot. I mistakenly forgot that the diamonds come from Africa. The what they call gold and silver, diamonds, these materials, oil in the ground. The criminals, they want to take all these minerals and raw materials, the steel, the iron, the copper, and we ain't even got into uranium and plutonium and all that stuff is in the ground. See, this is what the criminals do. And then they start a business. This is what the criminals do. See, when you look around in your community, you don't see all the businesses that have been started and operated by criminals. A lot of these people sell alcohol. You go to a local liquor store. The thought ain't never came to your mind that the people who make alcohol, they criminals. They were criminals. They were criminals. See, it's a lot of businesses that are in business, people in business. But to be honest, they're criminals. The people who started were criminals. And the people who operate in the business, criminals. That's the reason why the United States government, what we were talking about yesterday, you had your blue collar crime and you had your white collar crime. Blue collar crime somebody, it can be management or non-management, because sometimes, committing murder, rape, armed robbery, auto theft, stealing a purse, purse snatching, what they call it, what they call when you steal clothes, shoplifting. When you go to the mall, and you go to the mall and you steal a shirt, or you steal a pair of jeans, you steal some Levi's, a pair of jeans, you shoplifting. See, they're what they call blue collar crime. Then you have your white collar crime, embezzling money, money laundering, on the stock market. There's so many cheating on your taxes. See, a lot of businesses, that's what they do. They try to find some kind of way not to pay taxes. That's what a lot of businesses do. They try to find some kind of way not to pay taxes. And when they try to find a way not to pay taxes, a lot of times they commit a crime. A lot of times there be a lot of men and women. See, there's a lot of women that are accountants. It's not just men who are accountants. It's a lot of women who are accountants. See, this is the reason why the sorority, it's a lot of women who are criminals. There's a lot of women, they're criminals. They commit a lot of white collar crime. They don't, not just the blue collar crime. There's a lot of women in these sororities. They commit a lot of white collar crime. So when we talk about the anti-gang demonstration, anti-gang protest, it's not just about the people who are in organizations, international organizations, human rights organizations. Whatever you do, don't leave out the people who are in the environmental organizations, wildlife, because you have to remember the criminals, they commit crimes, and they'll find all kind of ways to commit crimes. And we be talking about the poaching, the elephants, the rhinoceros, the mistreatment of animals, the little kittens, the little puppies, the fur trade, mistreatment of animals. And it be the criminals, the gang. So when you have people that's trying to stop all this stuff, polluting the air, polluting the water, polluting the ground. When we say anti-gang demonstration, anti-gang protest, they not left out. The environmentalists not left out. All the wildlife conservationists people, they not left out. Because they dealing with the same thing, the criminals. The gang. Dealing with the same thing, the gang, the criminals. So now let me Now, we've been continuing to talk about how people leave the United States, and like the celebrity athletes and celebrity entertainers, go outside the United States and, you know, try to get people to support the crimes and the gangs. But you know, it's gonna be anti-gang demonstration, anti-gang protest. Now, as I've been informing everybody, is that I had got my DNA done through family tree DNA, and let me see, I did the Y DNA and the mitochondrial DNA in October 2016, and then I did the family finder in December of 2016. Now, when I got the results, let me see here. Now the family finder results, you know, that's both parents, mother and father. Now it was 69% of my DNA was African, 61% was West African, 6% East Central African, 2% South Central African, and then it was 29% European, it was 18% British Isles, 7% East European, 4% Iberian Peninsula, no, that's Spain and Portugal. Now, the trace was us. It was 1% Northeast Asia, and Northeast Asia, where I found it was at it was in China, and it was in the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region. Now, when you know the history of Xinjiang is now North Xinjiang, Tibetan Buddhists in that area. South Xinjiang is where they found the DNA in the Tarim Basin, the Turkic Uyghur people. Now, as you know, since it's being in China, you know the Han Chinese in China. But in that South Xinjiang, Tarim Basin, the Indo-European Tacharians, the history was in that area, as well as the Indo-Iranian Sake. Now, the Indo-European Tacharians, they intermix with the Turkic Uyghur people. Now, based on the history. And like I said, that's where they found that 1%. Now, it was 2% North and Central America. Now, when you talk about the North and Central America DNA, they talk about the Native Americans, and the people that migrated from Siberia, that moved into America from the Beringer Land Bridge, and now they say that according to the archaeologists, the scientists, and things of nature, that the first Americans, came from. They are known as the Clovis people because they use these Clovis points as tools to hunt, hunt animals and use them this nature. And so, like I said, that's the 2%. Again, now let me click over here. When I click over here to this matches map, we go to the matching map, see I got all these little markers. They got all these markers everywhere. So let me zoom in. It's a lot of them. So you found out. Let's see, zoom back out. So there's a lot of those little markers, markers in France, Italy, Germany, Belgium, Switzerland, Austria, all that Western European. They got all these markers all over the place. Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Latvia. Then over in Poland, got markers on Poland and what's this? The Czech Republic, Slovakia. Over in Hungary, Orkney, Hungary. Santane, Romania. Slovenia. What's that? Krško, Slovenia. And then what's that right? Kerkira, Greece. Then the mark over in Russia. Yeah, this mark over in Russia. So mark is everywhere. And what's that? Over there in Indonesia, in Sumanit, that's in Timor, Indonesia. Got a little marker over in Canada, and then Venezuela, you know. Okay. Down in Havana, Cuba. Then Mexico. Malaga, Mexico. So let me click back over here. Actual map, let me see here. See, the markers over in Ghana and Africa. Then, let me see, what's it right here? St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It's in the Caribbean. Antigua, Barbuda, Puerto Rico, all over Puerto Rico. Over in Haiti, got, you know, DNA in Haiti. Because you know, Family Tree DNA, they send me emails all the time. They found another Y-DNA relative, found another mitochondrial DNA relative. Let me click over it right quick. Now, let me see. Now, when it comes to the ancestral origins, though, because they went on the matches map, but when it comes to ancestral origin, that's when you see some more. Down in Bolivia, Croatia, Estonia. And see, they found some DNA, like some Afro-Asiatic DNA. And when you see it, that don't mean it's right. For a reason, it wasn't no man and woman, you know, got married and then, you know, they kept on being it. No, what it was, slavery. They found some DNA in Kuwait. Found some DNA in South Africa. Found DNA in Turkey. Found some DNA in Ukraine. Let me click over here. Now, ancestral origin. DNA in Angola and Cape Verde. But see, they found some DNA in Chad. Now Chad, that's Nilo-Saharan. That's Sayray. That's right next door to Nigeria. It's no, it's not right. It's slavery. Then they found some DNA in Ethiopia. It's not right. It's not right. There's no man or woman got married. It was slavery. Now they found some DNA. That's Niger, Congo, Gambia, Ghana, Togo, Guinea-Bissau. You see, then they found some DNA in Israel. Found some DNA in Liberia. They found some DNA in Libya. It's not right. Then they found some DNA in Mauritania. Even today, in modern day Mauritania, they still have slavery. Morocco. Then they found some more DNA in Nigeria. Sierra Leone. That's all Niger, Congo. They found DNA in Suriname, Trinidad, Tobago. They found DNA in Tunisia. Found some DNA in Turkey again. So so when they come to that Arab stuff, it's not right. You know what I mean? It was no man and woman being married. And then see, it wasn't no like Niger, Congo intermarrying with the Afro-Asiatic. That wasn't what it was. It was slavery. And it wasn't no such thing, Niger, Congo intermarrying with no Nilo-Saharan. It was slavery. Now, let's go to the dictionary. Now, they don't forget these words, coercion, coerce, sexual coercion, psychological manipulation, psychological abuse. Now you know that Webster's third new international dictionary and Oxford English dictionary. The suffix, the prefix and the suffixes and the root words, compound word, they in the dictionary. All right. the complete definition and meaning of the word gang. Webster's Third New International Dictionary, the complete definition and meaning of the word gang. The act, manner, or means of going. Mobile. Mob. Now, there's stupid sorority, there's stupid fraternity. This is sister. Now, this is brother. Now, the Oxford English Dictionary, the complete definition of meaning of the word gang: action or mode of going, way, passage, and also a set of things or persons. Now this is mobile and the abbreviation mob. Now there's stupid sorority, there's stupid fraternity. Now, I'm going to get ready to end today's video. Again, my name is Eric D. Johnson, also known BrightShine. I live right here in the city of Memphis. It's in the county sheriff, it's in the state of Tennessee. And I thank all my fans, my support, for your continued encouragement, support, and always put God first. And take care of yourself. And I wish each and every one of you the very best. And also, like I said, we're going to continue to speak out and complain about this gang point of view. It's going to lead to anti-gang demonstration, anti-gang protests. And these are some of the websites, these just a few, that you can go to. Free logo design to make anti-gang logos.